never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, folks. Sunday morning. Not usual to see me around on a Sunday morning. I hope you're looking better than I do, but beautiful day in my part of the world. I'm trusting it's a bit the same in yours, although I know it's rather wet in some places, and in other places it's raining missiles. It's on, folks. Okay, I was a week late, or was I 2 weeks late? But it was definitely on the cards, and Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu have chosen the last 14 hours or so to begin their attack on Iran. I say begin because we don't really know when it's going to end. Now, the latest reports are that the Ayatollah, the supreme leader of Iran, has been killed in the initial barrage of attacks. Now, those attacks were centered, as you've probably heard already, on his supposed palaces and his homes. What the world really wasn't aware of, but clearly Israel was a number or a network of other deep bases, hidey holes, bunkers that this Ayatollah could get into and be quite safe. So in the first, I believe it was the first hour, they attacked 500 different installations in Iran. Now, we've only seen evidence really of what's gone on in Tehran. We even today have seen very little that has come out of any other areas inside Iran. Interestingly, we're only just starting to see some footage coming out of some of the areas that Iran attacked in retaliation. And herein lies the rub. They were quite smart in that against what would have been conventional war planning and thinking. They didn't attack Israel with massive amounts of drones and rockets and missiles and all sorts of stuff. Instead, they attacked 6 countries that aren't quite as well protected like that. 6 countries that hold American bases, and they've had some success. Now, I don't know that the American military, I haven't been able to find anything out this morning regarding fatalities, but the US 5th Fleet headquarters, which is in Bahrain, was hit by a ballistic missile. And certainly, whatever it hit, there is nothing left of it. If there were people inside it, then there will be casualties, certainly. The UK also has a base in Bahrain, or some facilities where they can tie their ships up. I'm not sure that has been struck, and any news coming out of the UK at the moment isn't in support, so to speak, of what's happened with the Americans and the Israelis. The POMs aren't against it by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that they are not involved. They have got their planes in the air, but they're supplying sort of a support role for all of this. The world is expecting some interactions from Russia and particularly China. And if we're looking at this particular action in isolation, we may not quite see what the relationship is to China. I can tell you the relationship to China is oil. A lot of the dark oil fleet that Russia owns, that China owns, gets its oil straight out of the Straits of Hormuz, straight out of the Iranian taps. That's going to be a big deal for the Chinese. They do need some access to that, and they've had it limited now for some time. Clearly, that's maybe going to get a little bit more difficult to access. China won't like that a great deal. Russia at the moment seems to have held back. Russia is a great military supplier to Iran, and they work with science and their military interwoven very, very tightly, as Russia has done with a number of other countries in the region. But as yet, Putin and co haven't really stepped up to say, well, that's a bad thing you've done, America or Israel. They've just been very quiet, very quiet. Why would be the question. Well, I think they're waiting to see what happens. Israel is going to feel very empowered. Benjamin Netanyahu will be swinging his bit as wide as he can at the moment. And he will be looking at other areas around the region where now that he has America involved, and all he needs is for some little pushback, some little event to happen. Won't be a little event to happen in, let's say, I don't know, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon. Make no doubt in your mind, the Israelis have their eyes very firmly on particularly Lebanon and Syria, Jordan maybe to a lesser extent. Now, their eyes have been in those places because a lot of the Iranian surrogates, if you like, the terrorist organizations, the Hezbollahs and whatnot of the world, have been based in sort of those sorts of areas. Now, if they decide they're going to go and follow and go into Syria particularly, I think that would bring Russia into the war. Russia won't stand by and let Israel and America trounce Syria again. You might remember during the ISIS days that there was a loose truce, if you like, even a sort of informal ally arrangement had been made between the Russians, the Americans, the Israelis, because these ISIS people didn't mind killing the Russians either. They couldn't have cared less. So there were some times where they worked together, but this will not be one of those times. I would hope that Netanyahu has the brains to stay out of Syria and Lebanon and Jordan, unless there is a large uprising of these hidden terrorists in any of those places. We might be okay. What would China do if if Israel attacked Syria? China would attack Taiwan immediately, I would have thought. I don't think that that's off the cards just yet. Why? Well, it splits the American forces and it costs them twice as much. They've got to fight two fronts, two very large fronts. And the problem that America has is I'm not even sure they've got an aircraft carrier anywhere close to the South China Sea at the moment. They like to project their power using aircraft carriers, and I think they have 7 of them. But I think 3 of them are in dry dock at the moment, and 2 of them are definitely in the Middle East. I'm not quite sure where the others are. One will definitely be hanging around the shores of home. So, yeah, there might be one somewhere in the South China Sea, but they're going to want a bit more than that. And of course, if China did decide to attack Taiwan, it would be all over and done within, 24 hours, I would have thought. So being able to get there and do anything about it meaningfully would cause the Americans a great deal of problem. Vincenzo has entered the room. He's the one putting up your chat bits, which is wonderful. Iran has been so busy attacking the country for the last 40 years. Yep. Look, the arguments that are being brought out by Donald Trump today in his statements, and Netanyahu and any other world leader, I think Albo Sleazy has come out with a comment as well. Yes, we support Americans. Wonderful folk they are. And look, this is not a bad thing for what's happening in Iran, for the people of Iran. It's a great thing for the people of Iran. And there are already pictures coming out from some of the more regional areas, not coming out of Tehran itself, but coming out of the more regional areas where the people have risen up in those towns and started destroying statues and, the likenesses of the Ayatollah that are put up so that you kiss his ring every time you walk past, sort of thing. They're starting to be brought down, at least in a couple of provincial cities. Haven't seen much or any of that coming out of Tehran just yet. There are wider impacts for the Middle East. At the moment, of course, if you know anybody who's traveling, they won't be if they had a connecting flight going through Bahrain, Doha, or Dubai. All those airports are closed at the moment. There are currently tens of thousands of displaced air travelers in the Middle East. There are only a certain amount of hotel rooms, and you've got to have the money to afford those hotel rooms. Therefore, there are a lot of people living rough inside airports at the moment, hoping that those airports will reopen in the near future. There has been no indication of when normal flights will resume, but all flights to Doha, all flights to Qatar, all flights to Bahrain, all flights to Dubai or the UAE in general have been cancelled in Australia or leaving out of Australia. And there is obviously a global ban, so they're not coming in from anywhere in the world into those places. But more particularly, nobody is getting out. Now, the Americans and the Australians, for that matter, for the last week have been putting out alerts saying that anybody who is in these areas and wants to get out better get out now while they still can, while the aircraft are still allowed to fly. And that's the thing. There are now no-fly zones all over those countries. Why? Well, because the Yanks are launching Tomahawk missiles out of submarines and off carriers, or not off carriers, but off cruisers. They've got planes being launched off carriers. They've got all sorts of things flying around from different countries. It's very hard to coordinate weapons once they're in the air, and if a jet, a passenger jet happens to get in the way, that causes a real problem. So at the moment, nothing is flying out of the UAE either. Now, ordinarily, that wouldn't necessarily cause me much room for consternation, but the Formula One World Championship kicks off in Melbourne next weekend. And for the last couple of weeks, testing has been taking place in Bahrain. So all the Formula One teams, at least their road teams, their traveling teams, have been in Bahrain working. Now, some of them, when the testing finished a few days ago, they went back to Europe, maybe to fine-tune their designs a bit, or to pick up a few more parts, or just to kiss the family on the forehead for a day or two before they head off on what will be a very challenging year-long championship. Heading off might be the problem, because every flight practically from Europe and where these teams are based has to come through Doha or Qatar, or Doha's in Qatar, I beg your pardon, Bahrain or Dubai. There's no way around it. The other problem is there are a lot of the team members who stayed in the UAE and would have been on flights today or last night to get into Australia today, and they haven't been able to get those. At last count, there is 2,000 Formula One staff, required staff at the event, jobs that can't be filled by Australians who cannot currently get to Australia. So the beginning of the Australian Formula One World Championship, the World Championship, Formula One, may not happen at all, at least not next weekend. So we shall see what happens. If she can stay sober long enough. We're talking about Nancy Pelosi, are we? I think there are bigger fish to fry there. Hey, listen, I've been talking to you about silver, and, we've been talking about it for years. We've been saying buy it for years. We've been saying it's going to go up, and it's going to go up pretty hard. This morning, I went to try and buy a coin at Ainsley Bullion, and that is the notice I got when I tried to pay for it. Market alert. Orders paused due to the Iran conflict and price volatility. Trading will resume Monday. We apologize for the inconvenience. That's not just Ainsley. That's every bullion dealer in the country. And I saw very quickly somewhere in the chat, who was it? What the had said, I'm sorry, I'm going to take over the thing. What the said, he's been to the market and bought two collectibles, 1 ounce and 1/4 ounce rounds. Got them at just under dealer prices. Keep on stacking, brother. Well, that's the only way you're going to buy silver today, potentially tomorrow. I think let's have a bit of a think about what's going to happen with the price of silver tomorrow. Before the market opens, in my humble opinion, and this isn't financial advice, I know nothing, but I've been watching, there will be a gap up before the market opens. Now, what a gap up means is that the current price, which is at, I want to say $132 an ounce, thereabouts. It won't open at $132. As soon as the market opens, it will jump. And I think it will jump to $150 very, very, very quickly. I don't think it will stop there. I think it will keep going and could certainly reach the highs that we saw in January by the end of the week. I don't think it'll happen tomorrow, but I've never been through a war situation with precious metals before. So this is a bit of speculation involved here. But, yeah, Lady Rider, lucky you got in yesterday. Perth Mint's been down for 2 weeks. Yep. They've shut down for just to basically allow them to catch up in their orders. And it's not just the people ordering at the Perth Mint. They have industrial clients. So they make the 1,000-ounce bars used in industrial processes and all that sort of stuff. And I think I've said here before, 95% of the Perth Mint's business, I am advised, is actually for overseas businesses. Only 5% of what they make stays in Australia. So they have orders from all over the world, and those orders come in an order, and they stick rigidly to that order. So, and I was only speaking about this yesterday with somebody who said, I ordered from the Perth Mint before Christmas, and I rang them yesterday or one day last week, and they said, oh, yes, you are in the system. You can expect delivery in 4 to 5 weeks. Now, that's not because they don't have the product to deliver. Well, they do, but at the moment, it's in its raw form. It has to be turned into the bar or the coin or whatever it is that you bought. And ahead of you, there are tens of thousands of orders, and some of them, some of them are industrial orders. Some of it's probably going to China. China was one of the biggest dealers. So, yeah, let's see. Let's see what happens. Silver Fox, as always, you're onto it, mate. The first casualty of war is the truth. You'd heard that the US Fifth Fleet had been wiped out. Yes, that was So when I was made aware of this last night, and I'll bring Vincenzo in. You might want to turn your light on, mate, so we can actually see your head. Here he is. Vincenzo made me. Hello, brother. How are you?
Good. Just caught me having a smoke.
Well, apologise. Vince rang me last night just as I was in Subway getting some dinner. I'd been watching most of the day, expecting something of a certain nature to happen. I don't know that I fully expected it would be the beginning of the Iran strike, but I was expecting something. At any rate, as soon as you step out, things happen. Vince rings me, and I managed to excite all of the teenagers in Subway when I got off the phone by telling them that America and Israel were now firing rockets at Iran. They thought that was all pretty cool. But at least they were motivated. And there was one little girl in particular, I didn't get her name, but if she's watching the show, hello, darling, lovely to talk to you. She was very switched on, actually, and her mum and dad don't watch the news and don't let the kids watch the news. So when I said, oh, you'll be able to go home and tell them some news now, she said, oh, yeah, they won't like this news very much. So interesting to see the young ones coming around, though. Great to see some of them waking up. Anyway, back to the price of silver. Every time I eat Subway, the world turns to shit. Yeah, I've got to stop going to Subway. Yeah, I'm trying to do healthy things. That's it. I'm going back to fish and chips. The other thing is the silver thing. So keep an eye on what's going on with your silver. And the parabolic rise I think we're going to have will play out over the course of this week. How long will it stay, and will it drop again? As long as they're firing missiles.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. As long as they're firing missiles, I think the price is going to stay up pretty high. How far back will it drop? I don't know, because the COMEX is broken. And it got broken on Friday. And if I was a cynic, I might suggest that with all the deliveries, the delivery demands that were made on the COMEX on Friday, the deliverable, I want to take physical charge of the ounces I have bought in the futures market, I'm sure that the market cannot deliver those ounces, and it's had that conniption. So the market is broken there, but it won't be fully realized until the market opens on Monday. So this is going to add another layer of pressure to the metals market, because the COMEX will be fully exposed. Unless, and they do have a way of pulling rabbits out of their arse and saving themselves. But with a war that started over the weekend, plus all the other pressures that they're facing in this time, it's going to make it very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So I think there is going to be a huge exposure. The war is a great thing to take people's minds off the market, because when there's a war, what do markets do? They go up. They make money. But usually because people rush to a safe haven, silver or gold. But the COMEX is broken. India have started a new market, which might attract a lot of business in this time. That market is based on physical silver and gold. So if you want to play in that market, you don't just put up a piece of paper, you put up physical silver or gold. And that market has been running in the background now in India for a little while, and they've now opened it to the world. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And for those who aren't aware, India per capita has the largest amount of holders of silver and bullion, silver and gold bullion in the world. They are the largest holders. So they know what they're talking about when it comes to the shiny stuff. So this is going to place another level of pressure on what has been the commonly used markets, which may or may not be good for us, I guess. I think it will be good for us in the long run. I'm sure it will be good for us in the long run. So, yeah, interesting times, Vincenzo. Interesting time. Oh, and then the POMs have had the war taken off their front pages because there are new revelations about some perverted sickery that the former Prince Dickhead used to get up to while he was a trade minister. Now, I don't know if they're just rehashing old stories, or if I don't know, I'm a time traveler and I've heard all these stories before somewhere, somehow, but there are a lot of stories about what he got up to in Thailand and a few other different places. Now, apparently, a lot of the trade envoys that were on those missions with him are bringing out their reports where they've dunked him right in it on numerous times. They tell exactly what he's doing, but nobody ever actioned it. So we might start to see some interesting things happening there too. Now, what's the weather like in your part of the world?
Cloudy. Didn't get flooded out. Said I wouldn't. So we had one heavy rainstorm on Saturday morning, apparently, and I didn't even hear that one because I was asleep. But no, we didn't get flooded out. We just had a general light sort of drizzle of rain. Good sort of soaking weather for the paddocks, so it'll be good in that respect.
Now, Pete from Pinaroo sent me a message saying that he's taken the Pajero out into the paddock and he's learning how to drive like Possum Born. So I said, well, nobody believes it unless there's video. Off you go. Go get your video. So at some stage we may have a very bogged Pete from Pinaroo video to play. They had 6 mil on Friday, I think he said, and 36 mil on Saturday. He's got puddles. He hasn't seen puddles in his paddocks in a while. Adelaide, of course, has had a fair bit too. In certain parts.
That's because the ground's so dry, it takes a while to soak in. Because we have the same thing here in Mannum. We get very baked in soil, and when we do get rain, it sits on top. It takes a while to get through that core. So, that's why the puddles are there.
With a bit of luck, it'll be good for the paddocks, like you say, and whatever he plans on planting in the near future gets a good grow, so to speak. What have you brought up? What have you brought up to show us?
Oh, look, I've been sort of observing it through the night, just having a look at what's going out, and I'm finding a lot of things like this. This particular one here, which is obviously coming from Iran, is supposedly all of the missiles and stuff that they're firing.
Yeah,
Right?
no.
Yeah, nah. Like AI plus. I saw another one of jets flying out of a tunnel in a mountain, and supposedly all the Iranian jets come flying out of this tunnel. But the tunnel entrance is marked all in the Iranian colors with flags on it. Like they're really going to, come on. How stupid do you think people are?
Anybody who's ever seen Star Wars knows you can fire a missile down the mouth of the tunnel, I mean, God.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see some of the stuff. That one's there is apparently one of the larger missiles that got taken out in deep space.
Well, that would make it intercontinental ballistic missile.
Correct.
That's an interesting drone
fired
shot.
a couple of those.
That last one there that you've just shown is in Dubai, I think.
Yep, correct. Yep.
And there has been a couple of other explosions in the Palm area of Dubai as well.
Now, isn't that silly that they're taking shots at Dubai? Right? Why are they spraying this everywhere? Oh, this one here, I like this one. This one's good. Right? Is this fake or is this real? We should run a competition.
Well, let's get the Australian Truth Authority onto it, shall we? Because this is exactly what they're talking about. This is absolute crap.
Right.
Absolute.
It's supposed to be an American plane.
Yeah, did you see the wing disappear? Oh, blew both its wings off. Pardon me. Sorry.
Right. So is it fake or is it real? Come on, guys, in the chat. What is it? Is it fake or is it real? What do you reckon?
Wow. That's a good one. Johnny Holmes missile. Speaking of weird missiles, I want to say the shot, I've been trying to capture it when it pops up on the odd news service. I've never watched so much free-to-air television as I have this morning. I haven't seen it in years, and I've switched on one of the channels today just to see what they were saying. My God. Anyway, on one of them, I got to see the first bit of vision of a missile. I think it was in Bahrain. Now, that missile, and I'm sure if you've been watching, you will have seen this too. That missile appears to fall or strike the ground sideways. It comes into frame, and it's not like a missile would be shooting straight down. It's sort of on an angle, and then it falls and lands sideways. The only way a missile could do that is if it was actually pushed out of a cargo plane without a parachute, and it just fell. There was no power in that missile. It wasn't being driven by anything. Okay, maybe it had run out of fuel. If so, why did it drop straight down? Because usually, and speaking from someone who's flown a plane, if you run out of fuel, you don't immediately fall out of the sky. You tend to follow a trajectory. So why would this thing fall and turn like sideways as it approaches the ground? It's not to create a better explosion, I can promise you that. So there are some weird things that are being put up, and what is real, what is not, I guess we will find out over the coming hours. But there is no doubt, I don't think there's too much fakery about the American and Israeli missiles going into Iran. No. Haven't heard too much from anybody like the Russians coming out and saying they're going to push back. But as I said it earlier in the show, if the Israelis start to go for, there you go. If the Israelis start to go for Syria, that's going to be a problem. Yeah, well, so these jets would go out nose to tail as well, do you think, folks?
Yeah.
What do you know about jet blast?
See how
what do you know about jet blast?
All right. And this is coming from there. So this is like really they've got their machine working. I'm trying to find another one where they show a one of the Navy cruiser boats. That's apparently, that one looks like it's real.
That's the El Khalifa or the Burj.
Yeah, in Dubai.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
looks more like a strobe going off, if I'm honest. See, no damage. No, that's not real. That's a strobe, if anything.
Oh, up the top. Yeah, the fire's down the bottom.
No, halfway down. Oh, halfway down. That thing I'm looking at halfway down. It's flashing. That's a strobe. What's meant to be strobe?
That's the damage they're talking about down the bottom, just here.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah, down there.
Ah, well, that's the elevator. Okay.
All right. So, yeah, so that one's very interesting. Oh, by the way, the other one that we saw with the fighter jet was fake. Do you know why I knew it was fake? Because the jet was going too flippin' slow. Right. So there's another one here where they've got one of their missiles that shoots down at. There's so much being shown at the moment.
Yeah.
Ignore that one. That was fake. But it's actually showing the missile, a low flying missile coming in at the boat and going around. Oh, that was the base that you're talking about.
Oh, yes.
Right. So this is what they've hit. This is what they actually collected. It is a uplink it's an uplink for satellite communications, etc., for the Army or the Air Force or the Navy or whatever. But it's an uplink one. So that's what they hit there.
And that's necessarily the manned part of the building. So there might be some people
not. No, that would be the actual other part would be further away from that. Trying to find this missile one. It's such an obvious fake, though. I'd love to show you, because this is what we're seeing coming out from the other side. I don't know yet what we're seeing from stuff that we have seen come from America or from bystanders, but what's that?
Well, what we haven't seen yet is any battle damage assessment vision. What we haven't seen yet is any missile eye video. So a lot of those, well, every one of those Tomahawk cruise missiles, which were part of the initial attack, they stream live video. So the Pentagon has all of the video of every strike. So we haven't seen any of that released yet, but bear in mind, right now, it's the middle of the night in the US, so we might start seeing that stuff come out as they start to wake up and their breakfast shows come out. We'll start seeing America lauding its power and showing just how mighty that really is. That's all fake.
Well, yeah, all this stuff.
And I can tell that, and the size of the screen I'm looking at is the size of a postage stamp. So the other news that I've heard this morning is that there is not one gunboat left in a harbor somewhere in Iran. There were 11 or 12 gunboats in a harbor. These were the kind of boats that the Iranians have been using for a while to go out and harass boats in the Straits of Hormuz. So there are none of those left, apparently. And the Houthis, who have been fed missile and technology by Iran now for many years, and the Houthis who have acted as a proxy for Iran, have come out and said that they are going to start attacking shipping in the Straits of Hormuz all over again. Just between you, me, and the gatepost, I would be surprised if the Houthis are surviving by, let's call it, 24 hours after they attack the first boat. I think a large smudge will be left on the ground where the Houthi bases were. America has made no bones about it, and the last statement from Trump that he's come out with only a few hours ago makes it even clearer. They won't stop until they are sure that they've cleaned out everything and all the terrorist organizations. And that, for me, is the worrying statement, because now that Israel and America seem to be cheek by jowl, Israel is going to start making some very ominous statements towards those three countries that I mentioned earlier. And that's where it's going to spread.
I have to ask this question. Right, here's yet another fake one. Right, it doesn't look too bad at all, but it's coming from there. So we've got our drone that's coming in, etc. Now, the question here and why identify, you can see all the strafire for all the fluorescent firing. It hits, they hit it, and then they stop firing. Do you think they're going to stop firing just because they've hit it? So yet another fake one there. But my question is, who the fuck is producing this?
It's all been produced and been ready for years. And I can tell you that those graphics are at least a couple of years old in their production. There are warfighter video games that you can now play online against a lot of people, particularly naval and air battles. So one of those groups online records their battles, and I actually watched the US and Israel attack Iran 6 months ago using the best approximates that they could all come to in their software for the armaments that would be used. And there was no problem overrunning Iran. Iran never got planes off the ground, or if they did, they were shot down and killed very, very quickly. Real world scenarios. Now, the graphics in those are bloody amazing, but they're still graphics. And particularly, there are a couple of good naval software packages out as well. And that's the kind of thing you see in those. If we've got a package out now that was made in, say, the last 2 years, the vision is a lot more seamless. The reflective surfaces are a lot more real looking. So these are the ways you can sort of get a bit of a gauge on whether you're looking at AI or not, because they've been using it on us for some years, but we've known it. So what they've been doing is essentially getting us used to what AI or created vision looks like. And yes, it used to be a bit chunky. I mean, we talked about that Beowulf or whatever it was the other day. They used those cartoons as ways to figuring out how to mat and layer human faces, particularly textures and all that sort of stuff. And now it's got a lot better. So
looks like
anyway,
AI and robotic shearing can now be done. So it looks like the shearers will be out of a job soon.
I was watching a farmer, a lady down in Victoria, who grows wool sheep, and she's saying there is no money left in wool. There is only meat in sheep. So Australia's wool producers have gone to the wall pretty much, it's not profitable unless you maybe have got a fine merino stud, and even then, the profits per sheep are way down. You make more out of killing them and setting them on a plate these days than anything else. And so many farmers are turning to sheep that shear themselves, Dorpers and the like, where the fleece just drops off. Although I did hear that if you've run Dorpers on your land, you will not be able to run merino sheep on that land for 99 years.
I've heard that too, and I'm not quite sure of the reason why. So, but there's something.
It's got to do with cross-pollination or infection or something. Anyway, I'm sick and tired of watching you scroll through that.
That's right. I found it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So I'll just put it back up there. This one here.
Yeah.
Take close attention to the background. And there it is.
Huh.
Did you see it?
Yes.
And this is the propaganda that's being put out, right?
Mm.
Actually, I think that had a star on it, like it looked like a Chinese one.
Well, wouldn't be at all surprised because they'll be trying to say that their allies are firing on the US. You know, in a vain attempt, maybe. In a vain attempt, maybe. I mean, the problem with that is, as you can see, there's 3 aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
You know, and a battleship. And an explosion that just won't go away.
It won't go away. And a plane up there that's sitting still.
Yeah.
And it has a big, like it's a big hole in the, righto, like it's been hit with something else. So anyway, this is the propaganda that's coming out. So people, be careful what you're watching, right? It's just not true. Absolutely not true.
More lies than you can poke the proverbial stick at, and I guess the only thing that you can be 100% guaranteed of, folks, is that when the markets open tomorrow morning, your silver stack, your gold stack is going to be worth a lot more than it currently is, and it's likely to continue growing for the time being. Yes, it is likely there will be a pullback at some stage, all right? And it'll probably be a severe pullback at some stage. But will it go back beyond where we are at the moment? I doubt it. There has been so much talk of a bottom price setting by the US government that you might find after they've run out of silver in their missiles, they do instigate that base price, if you like. And by that time, it would have to be at least 150 US an ounce. Which leaves people in Australia at what, 220 something, 230 something an ounce, provided the dollar stays where it is. Bear in mind, this is also what's happening in Iran is also a protection mechanism for the US dollar. So there you go. That's why we can't have Dorper, says Pete. Dorper has a different kind of wire wool that stays contaminated for years. So.
Oh, okay. And that stays around, obviously, as the wool falls off. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it just gets dragged off and caught on whatever they're walking around in, or traiped into the dirt or whatever. So, and we had Dorpers on the property. So, yeah, never had to shave them. But, God, they're an ugly-looking sheep while they're shedding. They look like one of those rugs that you pull out of your 90-year-old grandfather's place after he passed away, and you just realize that he's been a hoarder for the last 70 years. So,
thanks. Nice, pleasurable thought, Carl.
Yeah, well, it's just what the carpets would look like.
So
Trump only gets ups on weekends. Does that mean he gets time and a half?
So the big question is this going to escalate to something bigger?
Yeah, time will tell. We have Australian military forces in place in the Middle East. We have a continuing presence in Dubai and Doha and Bahrain. The base itself is in Dubai, and I know that we have a number of personnel there at the moment, Air Force in particular. I'm not sure about Navy. I believe there are some army on the ground there too, but they're not going on the ground into Iran. This isn't going to be a foot war, folks. This is a coup instigated by the US and Israel to allow the people of Iran to rise up. And we've seen the son of the Shah come out in the last hour or so, last 2 hours, and make a statement to the people of Iran saying that he will be back with them soon. The idea being that the Shah will be installed as a leader for 3 months before free elections are run by, Dominican software or whatever it turns out to be. But I believe that the people of Iran have a great love for the Shah, who was deposed by the mullahs back in the 70s and exiled out of the country, which was better than what they wanted to do to him, which was paste his insides all over his outsides and hang them off a palace wall somewhere. So he made the idea of bounding out and staying in hiding, being a quiet political figure for the last, I don't know how many years, 50 odd years. So now his son is ready to come in and assume some level of control. What level of control that winds up being, we'll just have to wait and see, because in that part of the world, who the hell knows? Interesting days, Vincenzo. But tomorrow, well, I'm going to be watching from very early tomorrow morning to try and see what the algorithms do when they open the trade before the markets open. So the algorithms will be where this gap up comes in the market. They will have been fed all of the news that's gone on over the weekend, and they know that when war starts, the price of silver and gold has to go up because a lot of it's required. And of course, the military-industrial complex in America has already made it a critical resource. So that's where the idea of putting a base price has come in. That means China can't sweep in and buy it all up for very cheap. They're going to have to pay a very reasonable price for it. So that will hopefully keep them out of the buying market. That's what they're hoping. Let's hope for America's sake that will be the case. Let's hope for our own maybe it's not, because that will crush the US dollar. And that, after all, is one of the big plans in all of this. I'm not even sure if it's not Donald Trump's plan. Pretty confident he's got a say in that. So this is being engineered.
And I just watched another one that's fake. Unbelievable. It's so easy to pick them.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So I would warn you folks, don't get caught up in doom scrolling on fake videos, because what it does is it heightens. Yeah, but it heightens your sensitivity to something when it does happen. Okay, so just be aware. As long as, I mean, I look at those things and dismiss them in a second or two. I don't watch to see how it ends. There is no point to see how it ends. All right. Once you identify that it's shit, don't fill your brain with it. All right. And that's why we've got to become discerning and say, oh, gee, wasn't the graphics on that one good? I mean, that's great for an example, but don't get caught up in watching. It's like sitting down watching a video game. That's what they want you to do. And it will disassociate you from the reality of it all.
I've played enough video games for a while. That's probably my problem. I need to do a video game night or something.
I'm not having a go at you. I'm just making that.
I realize that. Question for you. You said you've been watching a lot of the news, the fake news or whatever we call them, the media broadcasting companies. What sort of line are they showing or shilling at the moment? Because I missed the first part of the program.
It's all just headlines. America, Israel have attacked. The supreme leader is dead. They're all looping the same 12 seconds of video, the same 6 or 7 different missile shots that they've got, or Tomahawk missile shots that they've got, the odd drone shot that they've got, all up so far for what has apparently been a huge strike into Iran, where over 500 different sites were hit. So far, we've got 37 real videos and 1 million fakes. So
yeah, that's lots of fakes.
Just be aware we are not seeing the full extent of the war at this point. Be that because the areas that have been struck are out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, Iran is the size of Alaska. It's very big, and it's like here in Australia. The population center is sort of grouped into different areas. The rest of the country is not somewhere you'd find terribly hospitable. And that's where they've gone and built many of these bases out in the middle of nowhere. So the odds of a local camel farmer walking past with his mobile phone as a base explodes in the middle of a desert somewhere in Iran aren't high. So we would need to wait to see the American military vision that will come out, be that from bomb and then battle damage assessment vision that they'll release later. And that's what they'll be doing now. They'll be getting satellite imagery and all sorts of crap. And it's getting, or it will be dark there now. So assessing what happens in the dark is much harder than doing it in the daylight. So they'll need to wait a little while. It could be another 12 hours before we get an accurate idea of just how broad the attack on Iran was. And it could be at least that long before we hear of any counterattack success that may have been had. There has been some reports of one missile getting through into Tel Aviv, which is better than the last time they fired missiles into Tel Aviv, because they were landing about, I think they were landing 2 out of 10 at that stage. So they've got one through.
I think there's more than one.
Oh, okay, right.
Right. So there's a lot, like there's 2 or 3 that's hit Dubai. Whether they're drones or missiles, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but Dubai doesn't have the Iron Dome.
Yeah, well, this is true. But they also have a hell of a wealth. So why would you pick on them? Anyway.
You pick on them because they are Western sympathetic. They are Western sympathetic. There is a huge American base in Dubai.
Which is what
so they've struck every Arab nation that is sympathetic to the West.
Isn't it
Qatar,
funny how the
Bahrain.
ideology is eating itself?
Yeah.
Think about it. They're having the goes at their own brothers and sisters who are also Muslim.
Yeah. Oh well, no, you're helping the great Satan if you're helping America, so it doesn't matter. Mate, they've killed somewhere between 38 and 42,000 Muslims on their own streets in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So you know, they don't really care what religion you are.
So do you think this will be classed as a war or as a strategic strike?
Oh, mate, anything with Israel's always a war. We had the 7-day war. We've had the 9-day war. We've had the 22-day war. We've had the Second World War. Everything's a fucking war when it comes to Israel.
Okay,
Otherwise, it's not big enough.
The reason why I asked that question is because if it's just a strike, Trump sits okay. If it's declared as a war, then they've got the ability to impeach him, because a war can only be declared by Congress. What was
that one? War can only be declared by Congress. Well, yes, I guess an official declaration of war. This is so far an action. America isn't calling it a war, right? The media are calling it a war. I don't think maybe Donald Trump has said we're going to war. If this lasts more than a day or two, then yes, I would say it's a war, but not on any great scale, like the 6-day, 9-day, 12-day, 8-day. You know, we had a fight for a few hours. That was a war. The war of wills. That's how they view it. So strong language. That's what they.
Well, apparently, one of the U.S. Navy's battle fleets and aircraft carriers, can't remember which one, has gone off the radar. So that's interesting. They're no longer transmitting their position.
Well, that would happen in any war scenario.
Yeah.
And they have 2 aircraft carriers, one in the Straits of Hormuz, and the other one, I think, is in the Med. And that's the Gerald R. Ford, which is the largest aircraft carrier in the world. So it's sitting there backing Israel. Now,
that's the one that's going off grid.
Well, it's got real problems, right? It has a plumbing and sewerage problem on board that is dire. And
Can I say shit,
from what, well, you could say that some of the 5,000 sailors on board are losing their shit, quite literally.
Yeah, okay.
There is also some disputes in another area on board the boat regarding government policy. And apparently there are a lot of woke snowflakes on board that boat who don't agree with President Trump and who are refusing at different stages of their duty to do it. Now, that
Ooh.
is mutiny.
Yep.
Whether or not that is true, I don't know. But if the Gerald Ford has gone dark, I would suspect it's not because it's been sunk by anything. It's
No.
doing a little bit of relocating. And if Israel are eyeing off Syria, the Russians will be looking first at that aircraft carrier. So,
and apparently the Chinese are also sending warships in that direction due to the fact that the strait's been blocked off as well.
The Straits of Hormuz were closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, so Russia, China, and Iran could conduct military naval exercises. How far do you think those boats are?
Not far away, if that's the case.
And they'd certainly be within their own missile range now if they were going to play a role.
Yeah.
So why would they hang out? They're outgunned, maybe? They might be waiting until the Zheng Sung Hui Wang Chua, largest aircraft carrier in the world, I think, turns up. But they've had some problems with that recently. They tried sending it on a fairly long voyage, and they had to tow it home. So don't know if it's back. I think it is back up and running again. But they've got 3 of those aircraft carriers now. So very, very big ships.
Might have been the Toyota motors not working properly.
Oh, them's fighting words. a Japanese motor in a Chinese built ship. Oh, that's fighting words. I'm just surprised it's got a motor at all rather than an electric one. You know, I just figured that they use the whole flight deck as a solar panel.
That's an idea. Charge up the batteries, silent running.
Yeah.
Yep, it works.
Yeah, that'd be silent running, all right. Absolutely. All right, we're starting to talk shit. You have yourself a bloody good day, Vincenzo.
Yeah, I'm going to go and put my head on a pillow for a little while.
And for those folks who haven't yet seen it, CoinSpot went live last night and did marvelous things, didn't it?
Oh, we had some fun playing with the new system. Yeah, so we will do a bit more with that as it went along, and investigated a couple of things to do with crypto and determining what is real and what is fake. It seems to be my thing at the moment, right? Are we real or are we fake? So as for crypto itself, there's not much happening in that front. And I think this is not going to help it at all. And, well, it might in the fact that it'll give us some buying of some cryptos, some of the more blue chip cryptos at a really good low price. So, but what I really want people to do is to go and visit our main webpage and look at the interviews. If you're in South Australia, go and look at the interviews that we've done so far, and we've got more coming. So there's 3 up there that you can watch. Plus, you get the opportunity to shill me and tell me off in the comments. So all good.
Always a highlight.
All right, guys, I'll do the official. Cheers.
Thank you, brother. See you later. Hope you have a great Sunday. It's going to be interesting. Go and check out your stack. Have a bit of a look at it. Write down how much it's worth to you today. And then be watching tomorrow night where you can tell me how much it's worth tomorrow night. I'd be really interested. Well, maybe you don't want to share how much it's worth. But you get the idea. For your stack, it's going to be a great thing. For the world, well, it's certainly going to be interesting. A couple of quick things before I go. I just want to show you this bloke. Yeah, the world is saying, is this really Jim Carrey? Do you think that's Jim Carrey? This is sort of the two of them side by side. And it does appear that the new Jim Carrey has got different eye color. Yeah, it does look a little strange, I will admit. He only appeared last week, I think it was, so maybe 2 weeks ago, on a Tonight Show in New York, where he had short, very short hair. Now, there's this bloke who's got long hair, and that hair couldn't have grown that long in that time. However, we are talking about Hollywood here, and they can make anybody look exactly the way they want, even Madonna. Ooh. Cher could give her some lessons, couldn't she? My Lord. Have yourself a bloody good weekend, folks. We'll talk to you again tomorrow night, unless something earth-shattering happens in the rest of the day, and then we'll probably come back on and have a chat. But failing that, stay safe, keep the dickheads away from you, and enjoy the day.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!